Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Can you believe it's already been a full month since my parents dropped me off at the airport and I arrived in España? I would say it was a good 24 hours of traveling, and I will say that I am not a fan of American Airlines as I did not have a great experience with them. It was my first time traveling with them, but that is also coming from a Delta stan for life. I also want to note that I did not really have anxiety leading up to this trip. It was pretty smooth sailing. I was able to get everything done that I wanted to before I left, and I think I was just so busy trying to prepare for this trip that it really took my mind off the fact that I would be living in a new country for 4 months. Even though I didn't have anxiety leading up to the trip, it is completely normal, and I actually ended up getting a wave of anxiety on this exact bus ride and arriving at our apartment because it was so surreal to me. To kick off this video, here is some footage of my apartment. It is on one of the main streets in Alicante, and we are on the 4th floor. You see we're greeted by Jesus and we have a great view. It is actually the 5th floor technically because they start at floor 0. I may complain every single time I have to walk up those stairs as there is no elevator, but it is completely worth it for this balcony and this view. And a quick notable difference from the States is that they do not use dryers here and instead hang everything on lines. The place you see here is mi escuela, la Universidad de Alicante. It is a decent size, very beautiful, and as you see here, there are orange trees, but keep note for later on in this video that as soon as we took a tour here, they told us do not eat the oranges because they are very bitter. They say about 30,000 students choose to study here each year, and there are a ton of foreign exchange students on campus, not including those studying through USAC. I catch the tram to and from school Monday through Thursday. It is about a 25-minute ride, and in the morning it is so worth it to see this beautiful sunrise. And in the afternoons, the tram rides can be very entertaining. As you'll see here, this guy brought on his boombox and started rapping about everyone on the tram.
Este año para usted estamos poniendo la fe, rapeándote en el tren. Ya sabe, estamos ir rimando de 0 a 100. Para la chica que está de costado sentada, vino del raya pero no está rayada. Con esta...
On day 3, we took a tour of downtown Alicante, which you see here. One aspect of the city that I really love is everything is walkable. I can get from my apartment to the beach in about 15 minutes, and I can walk to any restaurant I desire. Another difference from the States is there are no animals such as squirrels, but there are pigeons everywhere. Here you see the marina, and before my trip is done, I am manifesting that I meet someone with a boat. A few other things that I really like about this city is the fact that it's not very touristy, and on nice days everyone goes out. Like you see here on the beach, everyone wants to enjoy the nice weather. A nice thing about studying with USAC is they take us on field trips and excursions throughout the semester. This was our first field trip. We took to El Albir, right up the coast from Alicante, about a 45-minute bus ride. We took a little hike to a lighthouse and saw some amazing views. Also, something to note that you see in these videos, in the water, in the distance, those little cluster of boats, that is a setup to catch tuna. I also wanted to add this clip of a protest going on right outside my apartment, and I did want to note that I love how the police escort them down the street. It was very peaceful and very civilized. Next, here are some clips of some of my favorite places to get food and drinks. First we have Sale Pepe. Here we have 26 cocktails. Next we have Kodama, which is my favorite sushi place I've tried so far. And here is El Arroz, where you can get some amazing paella. I am also part of a cooking class here in Alicante. It takes place every Tuesday from 6 to 8:30. During this time, we prep the food, cook the food, and then sit down to enjoy our meal that is served with some vino. This was the first meal we made. It's called Paella Valenciana. As you would guess, that means Valencian paella. It wasn't my favorite meal we made so far because it was lacking in flavor, but all in all, it was so fun to make and I was happy with the outcome. Next, I'm going to take you guys on a tour of Granada, España, starting with La Alhambra y el Palacio de los Nazaríes. If you go to Granada, I would definitely recommend going here as it was probably the highlight of my trip. We did have to walk up this big hill with some big backpacks, but it was totally worth it. This place is located on the outskirts of the Sierra Nevada mountain, and it spreads across 26 acres with more than a mile of walls, 30 towers, and numerous smaller structures. These buildings originally took 120 years to build between the years 1238 and 1358, and as you can see here, some of the renovations done by Leopold Torres Balbas in the 1900s. A couple of things to note if you plan on making a trip here. Make sure to look for the Arabic quotes and poems engraved in the walls. Also, leave about 3 hours to walk through this entire place as it took me 4. And don't forget your passport because you will need it to get in. If you're looking for a hostel recommendation in Granada, check out Nut Hostel. It is very clean and all of our things were very secure. One thing I found surprising about being here is some places give you a free tapa with every drink you order. I got 2 Tinto Veranos and 2 free tapas. Also, if you go to Granada, check out their local artisans market. It is a fairly big place, so be aware there is a lot to see and a lot to buy. A quick fun fact, Granada means pomegranate in Spanish, so you'll see a lot of pomegranate themed things. On our final day here, we went through Capilla Real de Granada, which is a cathedral dedicated to Queen Isabel and King Ferdinand. It was about 5 euros to get in as a student. You were not allowed to take pictures or videos inside, but I did snag this quick one of the burial site of the king and queen. And lastly, we had some time to kill before catching our bus back to Alicante. We went to this place called La Genteria where they had over 150 types of different gins. During our second cooking class this semester, we made pollo en salsa al ajillo. This is a dish popular in the Castilla region of Spain, and it was my favorite dish we made so far. It's similar to chicken stew with a side of potatoes, and it had so much flavor to it. And of course, when it was all done, we sat down to enjoy our little family meal. Another thing to do while in Spain is see a flamenco show. We went to El Teatro Principal in Alicante, and they put on a wonderful performance. Next, we head on a tour of Valencia. We took a 2-hour bus up the coast from Alicante, and we saw some of the most amazing architecture here. One thing to note, it is a huge tourist destination, so there are a lot of people. During our tour, we went through the Valencia Cathedral, founded in the 13th century. This place was absolutely gorgeous. We saw some Goya paintings and a lot of gold. It was so big inside. We also saw a popular statue of the Virgin Mary where women go to pray for a baby, and the severed hand of a holy martyr named San Vicente. One of the coolest things here is what is claimed to be the authentic Holy Grail used by Christ at the Last Supper. Next on our tour is La Lonja de la Seda, the Silk Exchange. There was a lot of cool architecture here, like this roof that was made outside of this building and carefully brought in. We saw Valencia's El Mercado, which is one of the largest markets in Europe, covering an area of over 8,000 square meters. And here's a video of an area that reminded me of the Las Vegas Strip. And of course, we had to try some paella, which is honestly better in Alicante. Then we took a bus to El Museo de las Ciencias, where we saw some of the most amazing architecture. Honestly, I appreciated the outside of this building a lot more than the inside, as the inside didn't have a lot to offer or a lot that I was interested in, but I did get this video of some little pollitos in the hatching process and a video of what it looked like from the inside. The last stop on our trip was Oceanográfico, a huge aquarium spreading over a large surface area, both indoor and outdoor. It is the largest aquarium in Europe, and it is home to species from places like the Arctic, tropical waters, and the Red Sea. This place is an educational and recreational center that claims its main objective is to actively promote the conservation of the seas and their inhabitants and to spread this message amongst the rest of the world. I do question how true that statement really is, considering it appears that most of these animals spend their lives swimming back and forth in one small confined area. On another note, now we go to El Barrio, where my parents stayed when they came to visit. El Barrio is absolutely beautiful and has some great views, although it is one of the more touristy locations of Alicante. It is also the location of El Castillo de Santa Barbara, which you see here in these next videos. There is a hike required to get up there, but it is definitely worth it for the views on the way up and once you get to the top. It is free to get in. There are numerous indoor areas to walk through where you can see old artifacts and pictures like these, in which you can view the process of the castle being built. I forgot to take videos at the top of the castle, but here are a couple of pictures for perspective on how beautiful it was. One of my favorite restaurants I've eaten at since I've been here in Alicante is Saona. They had some amazing food, and of course it was enjoyed over some great company. Now, if you recall earlier in this video, I told you to keep in mind how bitter the oranges on the trees are. Well, my parents did not believe me and wanted to test it out for themselves, and here is their reactions. Next on the agenda is Carnaval. Carnaval is a weekend-long event right before the commencement of Lent, in which everyone dresses up and enjoys the festivities. Thousands of people partake in this event, and festivities can go all night. And finally, we are going to end this video with one last cooking class. In this class, we made coca espensal y capellón, y coca de mollitas y chocolate. This fish here is similar to a cod. As you can see, I courageously ripped his head off and took out his spine. He was a bit salty, but he worked well with the bell peppers and eggplants that we mixed him with. The meal itself wasn't bad, but it wasn't one of my favorites because it used so much dough, or as they call it here, masa. This part of the meal was similar to a pizza, but again it was very doughy and lacked cheese or sauce. And for dessert, we had chocolate on top of little crumbs of masa on top of some more masa. Here was the final result. I will probably never make this dish again, but it was a lot of fun to learn.